Revan, one of the most powerful figures in all of Star Wars, and one of the great heroes of the expanded universe. Jedi, Sith, Conqueror, Revan was all things. Both his Force abilities and his lightsaber combat were unmatched. But you know, there was always one thing I kinda wondered about Revan. What lightsaber forms did he specialize in? What's going on, Box Bros? It's RageBox here, and today we're going to be talking about Revan and what lightsaber forms he might have used in combat. It's a topic I feel like no one ever really discusses, and the lightsaber forms in general have always been very fascinating to me when it comes to the lore of Star Wars. So now part of me feels that whatever lightsaber form it would be depends entirely on the player, since Revan comes from a role-playing game. But there is a specific canon to Revan's story, and we're going to try to focus mostly on that in this video. I think before we get deeper into this, we should discuss each lightsaber form, so that way you guys know what the hell it is I'm even talking about. In Star Wars, the Jedi and the Sith, well, anyone really who wields a lightsaber, battles with differing styles of combat disciplines called lightsaber forms. Learning the forms, I believe, is pretty important to anyone who wields a lightsaber. I mean, sure, you could just go out there and start swinging it like a madman, but if you did that, more than likely you would probably end up chopping something off. Oh dear. The forms not only help with precision in a duel, but also with control over the blade. Pretty necessary with a sword that's sharp 360 degrees around. There are 7 forms in total, but only 6 technically during the time of Revan, so we'll only focus on them. There's Shii-Cho, Makashi, Soresu, Ataru, Xian, and Nieman. And you guys know me with pronunciations, so if I'm pronouncing any of those wrong, forgive me. There's also actually an 8th form that we should discuss. It's not so much a form in and of itself, but more of a variation of lightsaber combat called Jarkai. Now, Shii-Cho, the first lightsaber form, is the oldest form of lightsaber combat, and has a very simplistic style with balanced traditional maneuvers, with a focus on disarming an armed foe, and it was very effective against multiple opponents. Makashi, the second form, was a style regarded for its elegance, grace, and precision. It was a lot like a fencing style. The most famous lightsaber wielder to use this form was Count Dooku. Soresu, the third form, was an extremely defensive form that focused on outlasting and wearing down one's opponent. Obi-Wan Kenobi himself was said by many to be the master of this form. The fourth form, Ataru, was a highly acrobatic and aggressive lightsaber combat style that placed greater emphasis on using the Force to enhance movements in all areas of combat. Due to this, it was considered a very demanding fighting style, both physically and through the Force. This was Grandmaster Yoda's most prominent fighting style, and my personal favorite of all the lightsaber forms. Shin, also called Jiemso, is the 5th form of lightsaber combat, and was most famously used by none other than Anakin Skywalker. This form was considered very physically demanding due to the requirement of quick transitions from dedicated defensive stances to all-out attacks. The Xian form variant was more about blaster deflection and redirection. Practitioners of this form could also utilize a reverse blade grip. Another famous Jedi who used this form was Galen Marek from The Force Unleashed. And finally, Form 6, Nieman. Considered the most popular lightsaber combat form in the Jedi Order, it balanced the qualities presented in all other forms, but did not incorporate any notable strengths. So I guess it was sort of a jack-of-all-trades form. It also allowed greater utilization of force powers during combat. One of my favorite lightsaber users of all time, Exar Kun, was known to be a master at Form 6. And like I said, there is one more bonus form that we should talk about called Jarkai. Jarkai was the method of using two lightsabers in combat, be they single blades or double blades altogether. Now, our man Darth Revan was often seen wielding two blades, so it's fair to say that he was associated with the Jarkai form of combat. But what about before he diddled himself down the dark path, and he was just a young Padawan? I think it's very possible that, for a time, Revan as a Padawan was a practitioner of Form 4, because it was said that he was a very acrobatic fighter. He was also known to be very skilled at deflecting and redirecting enemy fire. This could mean he was also a practitioner of Form 5. When Revan became a Jedi Knight and led the Republic against the Mandalorian Neo-Crusaders in the Mandalorian Wars, one of his greatest victories was against Mandalore the Ultimate himself, who was an incredible fighter in his own right. Being able to defeat the leader of the Mandalorians in single combat is no small feat, and it leads me to believe that maybe Revan was also a practitioner of Form 2, since it is known as the dueling form. Perhaps even Form 3, since Mandalore the Ultimate was a ruthless fighter. Although we never actually got to see the fight between Revan and Mandalore the Ultimate, and boy would that be amazing if we could, I think it's very possible that Revan wore him down over time with Form 3, and then perhaps went in for the killing blow with Form 2 or maybe some other variant. Most of this sadly is speculation. It's very hard to find any mention of lightsaber forms when it comes to the Old Republic. But don't worry, they definitely existed, they're just not really mentioned all that much. Not even really in current Star Wars canon either. The lightsaber forms have always been kind of in the background type thing. I think that's part of what makes them so interesting. But I digress. I think it's safe to say that Revan as a Jedi Knight was very proficient in Forms 2 through 5. Not a bad resume, but then again, he is Revan after all. Now, what about Darth Revan? It seems that when our prodigal knight turned to the dark side, he took up the dual blades. As stated before, Jarkai was the form associated with wielding two blades. But it was more of a combination with other forms as well. Jarkai was also associated with dual-bladed lightsabers, so Bastila was probably also a practitioner of the Jarkai form. Now, I think it's safe to say that Darth Revan still used all the same forms as when he was a Jedi. Take, for example, this famous scene from KOTOR. This is where Revan squares off against Bastila and 3 other Jedi, right before he gets knocked out from Malak's sneak attack. "You dirty little bastard, Malak, we'll get you." Now, I have no doubt that if left uninterrupted, Revan probably would have won this battle. I mean, it's Darth Revan, guys, come on. But we may never know. Now, we all know what happens. Sneaky-ass Malak. But just before that, though, Revan takes a very distinct Form 3 lightsaber stance. This lightsaber stance is very similar to the one that Obi-Wan uses when versing Grievous in Episode 3. You see, Grievous has multiple blades, so it's kinda like fighting multiple opponents. The third lightsaber stance, Soresu, is perfect for fighting multiple opponents in a defensive way, as it's a very defensive stance. So it makes sense that Revan would choose this stance when facing down 4 Jedi Knights. So at the very least, we could be absolutely certain that Darth Revan definitely knew Form 3 and Jarkai. But in the end, I do believe Revan was kind of a jack of all trades when it came to lightsaber combat. He had many masters throughout his career and was always chasing new knowledge. Revan was an agile fighter who was also very skilled at deflecting and redirecting enemy fire. He was able to defeat many ruthless opponents, and even beat Malak in combat. Twice! From all the research I've gathered, my final conclusion is that Revan was a true master at Form 6, just like Exar Kun. Due to Revan's extensive knowledge and having many masters throughout his career, I believe that Revan was a true jack of all trades when it came to lightsaber combat. Now, I don't think Revan was as skilled as Exar Kun when it came to lightsaber skills, but you know what? He was pretty damn close. Alrighty, Box Bros, that's gonna do it for this KOTOR video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys want to see more videos like this where we talk about KOTOR lore and canon. Although I'm sure some of you just want me to get back to the KOTOR Let's Play already. Don't worry, Season 2 is coming, guys. It's coming. And of course, leave me a like, a comment, hit the bell, and all that good stuff. Love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, Box Bros.